Back inside the arena where just a short time ago, when the cancellation was announced, fights broke out inside the arena between protesters and Trump supporters. And you're looking at the video from the fights that did break out after that announcement. John Roberts is inside the arena and joins us now on the phone. John.
Hey, Greta, good evening to you. Yes, we're out here down in front of the stage where Donald Trump was supposed to be speaking, but decided for safety reasons that it was better if he did not take the stage tonight. I mentioned to you earlier, and I think it bears repeating, that I flew up with him on his plane from St. Louis this afternoon, and he was telling me he was looking forward to Chicago. He said because we've got many, many people in the Donald Trump parlance that are going to be at this rally. He said he expected that there were going to be about 30,000 people trying to get in, but that he also heard that it was going to be rough. Now, he travels with a contingent of Secret Service on his plane, and perhaps they had some intel from here on the ground, or maybe he heard from his advance people that there were so many people who were in the crowd here in the arena and outside, and a number of protesters as well, because even though they may not be waving their signs around, they're pretty easy to identify because of the fact that they do come in with a sort of anti-Trump attitude. And they probably had some idea that there were going to be mass protests here on the floor, and this would have come just a number of hours after Donald Trump's rally in St. Louis at the Peabody Opera House was interrupted for 10, almost 15 minutes by a fairly large group of protesters who refused to leave, linked arms, and were making it very, very difficult for the police to get them out. I actually was talking to a person who was with the Trump campaign, the one who actually drove us to the airport, who was involved in trying to break up that crowd, and got whacked pretty hard on the back of the head. So it was a potentially dangerous situation there, and a very volatile situation here on the floor at this pavilion, but thankfully one that ended relatively peacefully. Maybe a couple of punches thrown, Greta, that you saw from our pool camera as it swept the room, but now the arena floor and the arena itself virtually empty, just a few stragglers, most of them Trump supporters just kind of hanging out to see what might happen, but the police have really cleared this place out quite well. So the only thing that may go on from here, as Jeff Block was saying, was there could be some, quote, celebrating on behalf of the participants on both sides of the fence here as they disperse back into the streets of Chicago.
John, I don't suppose any of the protesters have said anything to you about the fact that the irony of it is that in many of the old protests, it's to protest something like war. Here that they are exercising their First Amendment right to protest to they're using free speech to shut down free speech.
And that appears to be the case. And what's really interesting about that, too, Greta, is the fact that at his rally in St. Louis, and he has mentioned this before, Donald Trump talks about that time in Seattle last August when Marissa Johnson, a Black Lives Matter representative and a friend of hers, interrupted Bernie Sanders' event in downtown Seattle, took over the microphone, and would not let him speak, and eventually Sanders just kind of walked away, and Trump suggesting that that's kind of sad commentary on what's going on in this world. This is what he says at his rallies, and now it appears that his rally has been shut down, if not by the threat of protest, by the potential for violence here. So interesting to see that just a few hours ago he was talking about this very thing, and here it comes to pass in the city of Chicago, Greta.